Hi everybody, Jessie here from jessiebanks.com and welcome back to another watercolor video. I think I have lost my mind. So, with that giant haul and stuff, there's a lot of colors, and I really want to just kind of make myself a small palette of some Daniel Smith colors. I'm not going to fill all these pans, I'm just going to put a little bit, just to get used to them and kind of rotate them through and see what I really like and kind of knock it down to, what, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15 colors that I can haul around with me. This is just a palette. I don't know, it's got no brand on it or anything, but it was like, I don't know, $6 or $7 at the art supply store. So we're going to do that, and with all of these. Now, this is all my Daniel Smith tubes. Lots of these are doubles from that lot and stuff. The only color I have here that's not Daniel Smith is New Gamboge from Winsor & Newton. Now this, after I did that video, lady said to check the New Gamboge and see if it was the original PY 153, and it is. So this is nickel dioxazine, whereas the New Gamboge from Daniel Smith is made up of PY 97 and PY 110, so I am going to swatch them next to each other, but I will probably put this one in the palette simply because, if I go with a New Gamboge, I don't even know yet, simply because this is a single pigment, so the less pigments the better type deal. So what I'm going to do first here is stick this on fast forward. I will probably talk through the process like in a voiceover because I don't like music being left on, but I'm going to fast forward this because this is going to be painful and painstaking, and I'm going to organize these in Roy G. Biv color families. So yeah, here we go. Alright, so I was initially going to kind of do this back and forth between real time and being sped up, but it was just so much footage and so much back and forth that it didn't work out that way. So I have sped up this whole entire section of me going through all of these. So I've pulled out all of my yellow ones here, and then I'm going to take them and swatch them just on some cardstock. I threw out all of the doubles from that big lot that I had. So we're going to start, this is Hansa Yellow Light, and then I have, I'll show you guys some of it, and I'll figure it out as we go. Some of them I'm just not going to know the names of until we get to the ones in the final palette. That's Hansa Yellow Medium. I know the yellows for sure. That's Nicolazo Yellow. And then I have both New Gamboges here. So the first one I'm going to swatch is Daniel Smith's version. Now that's dual pigment. And then I did have a tube in that lot of the PY 153 from Winsor & Newton. And this is the New Gamboge that ends up in my palette simply because it's a single pigment form instead of being mixed pigments. I do believe there is only one color in the final palette that has more than one pigment in it. The rest are single pigment colors. So I'm going through now and I'm pulling out all of the reds and pinks and all of that kind of stuff, and then I'm going to throw out all the doubles and kind of sort through these. I've amassed a ridiculous amount of paint, you guys. I'm rubbing my forehead. Nobody needs this amount of paint. So I pulled out the Hansa Yellow Medium, and then I kept that one New Gamboge here, and then I am going to start swatching out some of our, these oranges. So this is that Aussie Yellow Gold. I'm off camera, I will pull it back over. And then I do this Quinacridone Sienna. This is the dual pigment one. I think it's PO49 and PR209, I do believe. But the Quinacridone Sienna ends up being in my final palette. So I really enjoyed that color. Now I'm swatching out just a couple colors here. Playing with I'm really not sure what I was doing. I was talking about Quinacridone Coral because that was like 150% that color was going to end up in my final palette. It is probably my all-time favorite color from Daniel Smith, period. I do believe it's this one here. And I was talking, that's Opera Pink. I was talking about those two. That's Rose Madder Genuine and Opera Pink, and I threw them out because they are not light fast. I know light fast really doesn't matter when it comes to cards and working in my sketchbooks and things, but I figured I had the option to not use them. I would use non-fugitive pigments. So now we have a whole crap ton of reds and pinks and things, and I'm just going to start swatching them all out, and we're going to get that done, and then I'm going to cross a bunch off and finally figure out what I end up with at the end, and I end up going with the Perylene Red, or Perylene Scarlet, Quinacridone Coral, and Quinacridone Red are the final 3 reds that end up in my palette. I usually paint by putting like drops of paint, like little spots fresh out of the tube all the time on my palette, and this was very difficult for me because only putting out those tiny little bit of paints means I can change my mind all the time, and I'm really trying to develop a palette that I can just like throw in my bag and take with me when I go to the city and things of that nature. So I was kind of battling myself as the fact that, no, I want all of these because I want to be able to use them whenever I want. Newsflash, Jessie, you're not going to haul around 5,000 paints with you when you take off. You want to take that one little palette with your 15 colors in it and go and have fun and be able to do whatever it is you want to do. So, that I did succeed in the end, so I was really happy with that. So now I'm just kind of canceling out some of the more too purpley colors, some that are a little bit too pink, and then it was really difficult from here on out. So I took that one out. And then to kind of, that was a quinacridone coral there. And then it was kind of basing on if I wanted it too pink or not, so I ended up going with the quinacridone red instead of quinacridone pink. Now I'm pulling out all of my greens. I was going to put sap green in my palette. I do have the original version with just PO49 and PY7 or PG7, but I ended up having putting the phthalo green in. So, and with having quinacridone gold in my palette, I didn't show you guys I put that in there, but with having quinacridone gold in my palette, I had no reason to put sap green in because I can mix that color whenever I want it. So there was no reason for it. Now I'm going through my purples, and I have tons of purples. I love them. I did go with the Carbazole Violet and the quinacridone purple simply because those are the two colors I use the most and I reach for all the time. So I figured, well, if I'm already using those all the time, those are the ones that I want to put in my palette. I had like that lilac color that I bought because it's pretty, but I've never ever used it. And things of that nature, so there was no point in keeping all of those. So now I pull out my blues, and I take out a bunch of them, like those real light colors, and the ultramarine turquoise doesn't make it in, but I do end up going with French ultramarine, phthalo blue-green shade, and the Indian Throne blue, simply because I love that PV60 pigment. That real dark pigment is beautiful, and I love it. So now I've got too many colors up top already, and all these browns to go through, and I kind of pulled out like Buff Titanium and Sepia because it's a mixed pigment, Moon Glow and Shadow Violet because it's not a necessity to have. The quinacridone browns, I didn't cake them because I can mix my coral with a bunch of colors. And then I had like this big brain fart that, Jessie, you can mix brown. You don't need brown on your palette. I primarily paint florals and balloons and that kind of stuff with my paints, so the odd occasion when I need brown for a branch or anything, I can mix it myself. And then I was like, well, maybe I need cobalt blue. So I pulled that one back in, and I come in here and I start swatching them all out. So that's French ultramarine, and then this is cobalt blue, and then I do the phthalo blue green shade and that Indian Throne blue. And I do end up putting cobalt blue back and just keeping those other three in the end anyway. I'm not sure where I went. I left on a holiday apparently for a few moments there. My bad. And then this is that Indian Throne blue. And then while those are drying, so I can kind of look at them a little bit more, I do swatch out the Green Apatite Genuine and the Serpentine Genuine. I'm off screen while I did it, obviously, but I do push it up. And I end up going with, hang on, there. Now I do grab the sap green from the side just to swatch that beside, just to help me pick which one was kind of closer. And that sap green really has a yellow hue, so I took the Serpentine out and I kept that Genuine and then got rid of the cobalt, and that gave me my 15 color. So then we're going to go through and I'm just going to pop all of these colors into our palette. You can see how I'm just kind of putting smaller blobs of the colors in. I'm obviously very fickle when it comes to colors and I like lots of them. So I did opt for just putting a small little dollop in each one instead of filling the pans completely. I do believe I talk about this in the live section that comes next, but I'm going to go through and put all of those in just in yellow, orange, red, green, blue, purple. Or no, I went purple, blue. I always paint purple blue though. I don't know why, but I do. So that's the way I put it in the palette, which is actually wrong on most people's palettes, but it's kind of the way I've always worked. Even when it comes to colored pencils and things, I always go green, purple, blue. I'm weird. That's all right. I accept it. It's a fact of matter, or of my life. So I'm just putting all of these colors in, just a little bit of each, and then we are going to do some live swatching for you guys and have a little chat at the end of this. And yeah, if you guys aren't subscribed to my channel and you enjoy watercolor videos, Copics, card making, all that kind of stuff, definitely subscribe. If you liked watching me build this palette for some reason, give it a thumbs up because I know I forgot to say that in the end. Thanks so much. So here's our finished palette. I just did a little tiny bit. This one kind of bled out. There was a lot of the binder on the top, but just a little dollop of each color in all of the pans. This way it's easy for my fickle mind to change its mind and put clean, I gotta clean my water here, and put clean, different paint, not clean paint, different paint, and use up what's in there so that I can change it if I'm going anywhere. I plan on using this at home to make sure it's kind of what I want, so I'm hoping you guys will see a lot of this palette in the future, but we're going to swatch it out so we have all of our colors swatched right on our sheet here. So Hansa Yellow Light, I took way too much of that color. I put the color name on, and then I put the pigment information below it so that I can find them easy. I do have to put Winsor & Newton by that new Gamboge just so that I can tell what it is. Now normally I'm not too worried about having them blend out like this, but I figured because it's some of these colors, like that Nicolazzo, gets really, really dark, and then it can get really, really light and turn into like a beautiful warm yellow too, aside from that brownie color, that I should maybe try and do a little bit of gradients on my swatches here. This is quinacridone gold. I have an ample supply of this color. So that one will go in probably every palette I ever make because I do use it all the time. This is quinacridone sienna. Now it is made from quinacridone gold, and the same pigment that quinacridone coral is used, it has in it, but I don't believe it's the same color. We will check that after. But either way, I really like that color as an orange. This is Perylene Scarlet. And then our quinacridone coral. Like I said before, one of my all-time favorite colors. Way too much lumpy pigment on there. Like I said, I just squeezed these in, so they haven't even started to harden or anything yet. So I'm fighting with them a little bit just to not pick up too terribly much, which is funny because I usually paint straight from the tube, but not in a palette like this. So I kind of have all sorts of room to play with it when I phthalo green shade, or phthalo green blue shade, pardon me. Not a color I would use on its own a whole lot, but it is a fantastic mixing color. Now this is that green apatite. This is a genuine color, simply because I love it, so it went on the palette. I really wanted one of the two, so especially for all of my leaves and things. Now here is our Carbazole Violet. So this is Daniel Smith's Dioxazine, which is a lovely purple. Then we have Quinacridone Purple, which is one I've reached for a long time. I probably should have switched these around on the palette, but it's all good. Yeah, like I should have had the bluer one to the outside just to follow the rest of the pattern, but that's alright. And this is French Ultramarine. Phthalo blue-green shade. I use this color a ton. I'm hoping that having this limited supply is going to help me with color mixing and forcing me to do more of that, because I tend to paint straight out of the tubes and just glaze colors, which is something I will continue to do. But like I said, it'll help me with mixing like sap green and all that kind of stuff. So So here is our palette. Those are all of our colors. I'm going to cut this last column off here. But yeah, there it is, all set and done. I'm going to let it dry. The video following this will be an entire like swatch sheet. I'm going to do, you know, how you mix this one and this one, so you can see all the different colors you can make. Because I think with me wanting to learn color mixing and doing this for that purpose, I'm going to need that just to help me at the start. So I will see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.